2016 may mark the smallest E3 from recent history, and that is because now 4 major publishers, developer groups have pulled out of having their own booths, their own multi-million-dollar booths at times, and I think for these 4 it might be so. We do know that EA will not be on the E3 floor. They will instead be doing a fan-driven project. We also have Activision, Blizzard will be out. Of course, they also have BlizzCon. And now after them, Disney Interactive and WarGaming.net will no longer be on the floor. I don't know if you've ever seen how big WarGaming area is, but it is massive, as is Disney's. And these are very expensive booths. This used to be the preeminent place to show off brand new games and what's coming for the next year and years to come. And now it seems like things might be taking a new turn.
Well, you know, it's interesting because the thing with E3 is that every couple of years, there's a big shakeup. You know, it used to be that E3 was only for the industry. Then it became open to everyone. Then it closed its doors again. So I mean, it's been one of these where like it's still trying to find its footing.
It was kind of a disaster when they opened it to everyone.
Yeah.
And then they had to close it again.
And then last year, what they did was they slowly invited influencers in. So there was a small allowance of like what you would consider like fans allowed to come in again. So that was, you know, that was interesting to see that take. So last year was my first E3. And
were you an influencer?
No, I was in as press, actually. Yeah. And it was great, and I got to cover it for geek.com, and I had a lot of fun. And I loved seeing what I did there, but I've been following E3 since I was a little thing. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting to note, though, seeing all these companies pull out. Because, I mean, okay, Blizzard, that makes sense. They've got BlizzCon. They don't, you know.
Well, Activision doesn't really do that much
at
BlizzCon. If anything, it's all Blizzard titles.
It is, but it makes me wonder what they're planning in the back burner. Because, you know, the Activision acquisition is fairly new. So they probably have something else that they're planning. Also, you know, PAX is growing. PAX is really growing as a huge fan event. And I think these companies are realizing what drives sales are getting out in the fans. I think E3 is an important event in the way that your Microsoft conferences, your Apple premieres are, that you talk about and you premiere new titles, but to really get things in the hands of fans, that's where you're going to have your PAXs and
when we look at E3s in the past, we had mainstays like the now defunct G4 and other defunct broadcasting stations. Live from the floor, doing all of this.
IGN had a large presence last year.
I think IGN is still a large presence.
Yeah, IGN and GameSpot are the two.
Enormous as they used to be.
No, it's not the same.
It does seem like the trend is leaning heavily toward fan experiences, which is what PAX is, which is what South by Southwest is. And we see a lot of more people gravitating that way. EA has certainly decided that's the way they're going to go. But we do have some major big players still at E3 moving on to even larger presences. Bethesda hinted before that they weren't going to have a press conference, but they're definitely having a press conference this year. There you can expect to see more from likely gameplay from Dishonored 2, DLC content for Fallout 4 finally, and a couple surprises after that. We also have Take-Two Interactive,
which I'm super excited about.
That they will be there in a big way.
And they, you know, they're Gearbox. You know, they've got a lot of properties under their name.
Rockstar, 2K Games, 2K Sports.
And then
they're expected to, well, not expected. It's rumored Red Dead Redemption sequel may be talked about this year, and something that I was told off the record.
Oh, can't say it.
But think about Ken Levine. Think about what he's known for. Think about it.
I'm going to tweet him right when we're done. And then another thing, Nintendo's presence is expected to be even heavier this coming year. Nintendo always has such a great presence at E3, and I'm excited to see what they bring. And of course,
they have a weird presence.
They do, but I like it. I appreciate their hands-on presence there. And then of course we're going to have Sony and Microsoft. Though of course it's
right
interesting.
Next to each other.
Yeah, but of course it seems like in terms of the press conferences, it's always like 1 year is really good and 1 year's like, well, we don't have anything great. Like, you know, so last year I felt was the great year for Sony and Microsoft. So
Sony had a huge year last year.
Yeah, so I don't know what we're going to get this year.
I mean, they showed all these things. They haven't been delivered yet. That's what I said when it aired, and that's what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is the Final Fantasy VII reboot? Where is
it's coming out in chunks. That's where it is.
I know, but like people are like, oh shit, this is the biggest year ever. This is the biggest a couple years from now.
Yeah. It was like, it was the biggest, like, we're going to pump you up for really later on in life. Yeah.
I've been disappointed many times by looking at things like Final Fantasy 13 Versus, which became Final Fantasy 15, and that was years ago. But we're going to put my bitterness aside and talk back about this specific topic, which is publishers leaving E3 for perhaps their own fan events or perhaps different fan events.
I think they're going to go and try something new. I think they're going to see what works, and I think ultimately, you know, they're going to put their money elsewhere because E3 is just so expensive. So let's
massively expensive.
Massively
multi-million-dollar booths.
Yeah, and I think it might cause E3 to come down on some prices, and then maybe the developers will come back. I think it's a great time to be exploratory for these other companies, and I think it's a great time for E3 to kind of regroup and rethink about what it's all about.
I mean, as much as I like E3, it's smarter to not. I mean, if you look at Comic-Con's example, when certain studios, major studios, pull out and do their own announcements at their own speeds, why not? Because then you get that time to yourself. The news will be covering you instead of news covering a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Audience, what is the right way to go? Should E3 still be a thing, or is this new separation, this new focus on fans the way to go? Let us know below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.